like to get your thoughts around this idea of recognizing Gaza where we're at, maybe any insights you have or any ideas as to where you think it might be going.
Yeah, well, I think New Zealand should have recognised Gaza, 77 years, recognised the Palestinian state 77 years ago. I think the way it's been brought up now by Western countries is as a distraction because they do not want to sanction Israel. They're terrified of sanctioning Israel because
Right.
that path leads to the end of the Israeli state. So what they want to do is, I think, what Winston Peters has been doing is dangling this: will we recognise? Will we not? As a way to, as I say, distract the whole discussion. It's like when we had the march across it was supposed to be the Harbour Bridge March, but it turned into that huge march down Queen Street. I mean,
Yeah.
I was almost the last person to leave Aotea Square, so I was at the very end of the march. It took us an hour to leave the square, and by the
Wow.
time I left the square, the march had already reached Victoria Park. So it was an enormous march. And the theme of that march wasn't recognise Palestine. The theme of that march was sanction Israel for genocide.
Yeah.
So everybody in the movement is saying, recognising Palestine is not going to make a blind bit of difference in the short term. Yes, it will be important in the long term, but in the short term, no, not a blind bit of difference. To stop Israel now, we need sanctions. Israel needs to feel some real heat, and at the moment, they're not feeling any heat. They're just feeling the love, to the point where, the deputy foreign minister in Israel, who is coming down to the Pacific in October, she was interviewed by Sean Plunkett on his platform show. And she said she wants to come to New Zealand to thank the New Zealand government, to express gratitude to the New Zealand government for the fact that it has stood by Israel for the last 2 years. And that is the most shocking indictment of where New Zealand has been. She's not talking about going to Australia or anywhere else. She says, I want to come to New Zealand to express gratitude to our government. So I think we're in an absolute powerless position. We put a media release out a couple of days ago saying, New Zealand is the unprincipled runt among Western nations. We're at the very back. We're doing nothing. We're trying to keep out of everybody's way. But there's a genocide going on, and the people of New Zealand are really angry about it. The last thing I'll say in this little segment is to say that the people of New Zealand have expressed through at least 3 public opinion polls over the last year, and the latest one by Radio New Zealand. If you're given, if people are given the choice, should we sanction Israel or not? People are 2-1 in favour of sanctioning Israel. There's a whole lot of don't knows, that's true, but people who give an opinion, it's 2-1 in favour of sanctioning Israel. And most issues I've been involved in, you start off as a real minority, and you're battling to make headway. In this issue, in a sense, we've won public support, and the public are behind Palestine, but the government isn't. And it's the same as other Western governments as well. Yeah.
Do you see where the runt? I mean, when I think about Christopher Luxon and his team, I think of a word that rhymes with runt, but it's not exactly runt. I can't quite remember what it is right now. Do you think their non-committal is them standing by Israel, i.e. this person's going to come down and heap praise on their heads for supporting Israel? Is that person being a troublemaker because a non-commitment is not support? Or do you think what they've done inadvertently has supported the Israeli position?
Well, what they've done is definitely supported the Israeli position. The Israelis know that they can't win the argument, so they don't try and win the argument. They don't try and win public support. All they do is, when people put their heads up, they target politicians, they target news editors, and they target academics. Those are the 3 groups they go for. They don't particularly go for us, but they go for those groups. They know they cannot win the argument. So we're in a situation where that big group of don't knows is a group that is that's there because for decades Israel has thrown red herrings in every direction and their basic line is, it's complicated. Don't say anything unless you've read the history until you know. In other words, they're just trying to scare people off the whole argument, and that's been successful to a significant extent. But I think now their war crimes are so egregious, they are so, so depraved and so cruel in what's happened in Gaza, that I think the public in general are just freaking gobsmacked by it. And the fact that we're doing nothing about it is just shocking, absolutely shocking.